So here we have problem 5-30, and with this problem we are working with mixed streams and looking for the present value of several mixed streams of cash flow. So if we open up the table here, let's see what we're working with. We've got three different streams, A, B, and C, that we'll solve separately. So this will be good practice for using the cash flow register of the calculator. There are a couple of resources in my courses in addition to certainly this example that we're going to work now, but there is a cash flow register demo video in my courses, as well as an Excel file where I've got step-by-step examples on how to work the cash flow register within the handheld calculator. So the cash flow register demo video that's in my courses is for this online calculator that we're going to work with now, and the Excel file has step-by-step instructions for solving two of the textbook examples in chapter 5, how to solve them with a handheld using the cash flow register within the handheld calculator. So with this problem here, we will use the online calculator again, and we have three different sets of cash flows, so this will be really good practice for solving mixed streams. So the first one is part A here, so that we have 5 different years with all separate cash flows. You'll see with streams B and C, we can enter these more efficiently, even though there's 6 and 10 years respectively. Being that we have repeating cash flows, we can use a shortcut with the frequency options in order to enter these faster than what we'll be able to enter cash flow A, or stream A. So again, my best practice is to enter the interest rate first. So our opportunity cost, or our required rate of return, is 12%. So I'm going to enter 12 as our I, and then hit the cash flow button to bring that up into the cash flow register. So again, you can enter the interest rate now or change interest rate now if you want to. Again, I just find it easier to enter it first thing. On your handheld calculator, you'll enter interest rate last. That's the last step before you compute the net present value, which comes after you've entered all the cash flow dollar amounts and frequencies. So again, not using cash flow at time 0, we'll get to use this in chapter 10 with capital budgeting. So just going to arrow down, and our first cash flow is 1900. Notice that's a negative though, so certainly very important to enter negatives with these mixed streams if you see them. So 1900 negative, we're going to enter, arrow down. There's only one cash flow at 1900, so frequency is 1. Arrow down again. Cash flow 2 is 2900. Enter, and arrow down. That's just a one time again. 4000 is the third cash flow. Enter. And notice as we enter them, they lock them up at the top there. That's just a one time, so we arrow down to cash flow 4. That's 6100. Enter. And cash flow 5 is 8,000. Again, frequency is just 1 on all these because they're just one time, not repeating cash flows. So stop here. We've got all 5 of our cash flows entered. Now all we need to do is just do compute NPV. So NPV is 11,878. So one quick note on NPV, this is net present value. So being that there was no upfront cost that we entered at cash flow 0, we're really, net present value is the same as present value. Now, when we get to chapter 10, we have upfront costs. So for, let's say we buy a piece of equipment or buy a piece of real estate, and we're calculating with the present value, net present value of that acquisition. That's when it's more, truly more of a net present value, because we have an upfront cost that we are matching up to a stream of cash flows in the future to get our net. So in this case, we're calling it net present value, but it's really present value, same thing. The net being that there's a 0 upfront cost, so not really as applicable as it will be in chapter 10. Again, just a quick terminology thing to point out. So let's enter that in there for our present value of stream A, and that's 11,878 and 63 cents. Check that. We're good there. And we can just reset, probably easiest, just reset the calculator. Our 12I is interest rate. We're going to hit cash flow to carry that into the cash flow register. There is no cash flow times 0 again, so we'll arrow down. Our first cash flow is 10,000. We enter that. That's a one-time cash flow, so frequency is 1. Now here's where we can start taking some shortcuts. So cash flow 2 is 5,200. We enter that, and we go to frequency. You'll notice that it's 4 times. So years 2 through 5 have the same cash flow, 5,200 each year. So for frequency 2, we can enter 4. And just like with the cash flow, we need to hit enter. And then you see at the top here, it just entered 4 cash flows of 5,200 automatically for us. So a nice shortcut, not have to enter 5,200 4 times. Okay, so we arrow down to the third cash flow, which is 7,000. That's just one time again. And then we can hit compute, net present value. And for stream B, our net present value is 26,576 and 97 cents. Okay. And then finally, for cash flow or cash, our stream C, let's reset. We got 12% as our rate. And let's arrow down to the first cash flow is 10,000 again. But this time, that cash flow is the same for the first 5 years, so our frequency will be 5. So 5, enter. And we arrow down. Our second cash flow is 7,900. That will be entered in. Go down to our frequency, or second frequency. That is also a cash flow that is repeated over the course of 5 years, so we'll enter 5 as our second frequency. Lock that in, make sure that it carries it all the way down. Okay, notice again there's 11 figures here because there was no cash flow up front, and the CF0 is always the first number in the data up here. So they'll be thrown off by the fact that we have 10 years of data and we have 11 periods here. So again, cash flow at time 0 is always the first figure. So what we'll do now is just do compute NPV, and we've got 52,206 and 79 cents. Check that, and we're all set.